Um, you're gonna be a grandfather. Oh
That's so corny. No. So I basically just found out that I am pregnant, and so I have created a series on my YouTube channel. It's a playlist that is basically an intuitive pregnancy. So basically from before you're even thinking about having kids, to thinking about it, to trying to conceive, to being pregnant, on to birth and postpartum. I'm basically going through that myself, and I'm filming myself and giving you guys sort of the intuitive guidance, the skills, the exercises that I use as a psychic to sort of go through a lot of this. This video is basically gonna be my whole pregnancy. So keep watching, guys. I hope that this is a smooth pregnancy. So far, I mean, 2 months in, I haven't had it too rough at all. So I'm really excited to share this journey with you guys, and we'll see where it leads. So I am at the very end of my first trimester. I meant to film way more than I actually did. I would say my first trimester was very, I don't want to say rough, because physically it wasn't that bad. Mentally, it was a lot to process for me. I think that it happened so fast. First trimester was just about surviving. And I think as soon as I realized, okay, I'm not using my intuition as much, I'm not connecting to my guides as much, but that's okay. It's okay to sometimes be in survival mode. Then I was able to let go of that and let go of all of these expectations that I had. And I think that sometimes with your intuition that happens. Sometimes you just have to focus on day-to-day stuff, and you can't connect with your guides every day, and it's rough, and that's okay. The first time, though, I felt like I could feel the presence of the baby was when I was working out. It just sort of feels like this light or this energy that's sort of around me, and I can't really feel emotions. And I do believe that, you know, everybody has souls, and that's the reason why I can connect even now when the baby is not present. And it's interesting, I will say too, because I did a lot of meditations of reaching out to my future children before I was pregnant. And I've always been like, okay, well, where's that point where they're no longer out there and they're physical? Because we know at some point we're transitioning from this other world that we come from, wherever that may be, whatever you call it, into the physical world. I just find it very interesting to compare how deceased people show up as energy, how guides show up as energy versus like super high vibe guides like angels versus children that are not being born yet. So I've never got to play around with that. That energy is super interesting to feel. This used to be my office. So this is what it looks like now, and basically gutted everything. Gonna still move some of this out. This is going to turn into the baby's nursery, so I will show you bits and pieces of this as it progresses. So one of the things that I heard when a few of my friends were pregnant, or just people that I know were pregnant, is they would sometimes say that I'm more psychic, or they'd say I've got the mother's intuition more, or I just know when things are going to happen more when I was pregnant. And then there were some people who were like, you know, I couldn't connect at all, you know, being pregnant hindered me from that, and they blamed it on all of these reasons. And so I suddenly remembered that, and so I decided to start experimenting with it. And so as soon as I said, oh yeah, well, apparently I might be more intuitive once I'm pregnant,
And then all of a sudden, as soon as I told myself that week, I was just like way more on top of my abilities, and I was picking up way more intuitive hits. And so I think that's a good lesson to remember, that pregnant or not, being psychic is a very intention-based thing. And if you decide, hey, I'm going to be psychic, or hey, my abilities are going to be open, then they will be open. The first couple of months of my pregnancy, I was really beating myself up for not being able to talk to my baby, and I still don't really feel like I can. And I think that because of it, I was really down on a lot of this video and wanting to put out exercises. But then I remembered that it's a lot like animal communication. And sometimes with animal communication, when you can't connect to an animal, it doesn't mean that the animal can't hear you. And so in my classes, what I tell people a lot with animal communication is that even if you can't hear what the animal is saying to you, still talk to them in a meditation or in a reading, and send them whatever you're going to send them. But know that it's okay if you don't always hear them back. So the next exercise that I want to give you is just a basic meditation exercise. Now definitely look at my how-to meditation video before you do this. This is just going to be a very basic way to modify a basic meditation. So, as you're meditating, close your eyes, go ahead and connect with the energy that's in your abdomen area. You can feel kind of where the baby is at. Once you feel like, okay, I feel ish where it's at, then start to send it thoughts and messages, and send he or she thoughts and messages. And when you do this, say what you're feeling. Say whatever you want to say to baby. I'm so excited to meet you. I wish I could feel you more, blah, blah, blah. Remember to keep it all happy, positive intentions in case the baby can hear you. And then between each idea or thought that you send, remember to pause and just see if you receive anything. Sometimes you might feel a feeling, an emotion. Sometimes you might see something. This is all kind of based around your clairs and how you receive intuitive information. But just give it a time and see if you get anything, and do not beat yourself up if you do not. This is something that you can do throughout your whole pregnancy, and maybe towards the end, once you've done it so many times, all of a sudden maybe you'll see something, or you'll get a feeling after you say something towards your baby, and maybe you'll actually see some sort of response. Now, I know this concept might seem a little bit strange, but this is basically what I do with spirits. This is what I do with animals. So I truly believe that there's no difference between a baby and a spirit that's passed on versus reading somebody that's here on this earth. Energy is energy, and you can connect to any living being at any time. So I am almost at my 20-week ultrasound, which is the halfway point where you find out the sex of the baby. So sex is definitely like a huge thing that you just can't wait to figure out. So this is a very common exercise that people do to figure out the sex of their baby, even if they haven't had any experience with metaphysics or psychic intuition. What they do is they basically tell you to put a ring on a string so you can use a necklace. But this basically comes from the pendulum. And so this is an exercise that you can do with the pendulum, and the pendulum is a very used psychic metaphysical tool to get answers to yes or no questions. So you're going to want to watch my video on how to use a pendulum first, because that's very important. A lot of people use pendulums very incorrectly. Remember, this is about the intention that you set and who you're asking. You're asking your guides, you're asking the baby, what is the sex? So this is the first time that I'm doing this for myself. I'm going to connect to my guides. I'm going to pull this straight. I'm going to ask it to tell me what a boy means. Show me which way means boy. Okay, so this is a boy. And you might not be able to see it from your angle, but from my angle, it's sort of swaying frontwards and backwards, but it's going in circles. Okay, so show me what a girl is. So now it's just swinging straight, but it's swinging straight back and forth kind of this way. So again, you might not be able to tell from the angle of the camera, but I can see two different things. So now I've determined what yes or no means, or what boy and girl means. And so now I'm going to connect to my guides, connect to baby, and I'm going to ask baby, what is your sex, or guides, what is the sex of our baby? Oh my goodness. That's not what I was expecting. So it's moving this way, as in girl. Ugh, I'm so confused. I've been getting a lot of intuitive hits that it's a girl, even though I feel like it's a boy. So that's very interesting. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know at my 20-week ultrasound what it is. But that's a fun little way to use a pendulum to see. Also know that you can be wrong. You know, if you've watched that pendulum video, you can understand why yes and no questions cause problems.
So we just got back from our 20-week ultrasound, and we found out that we are having a boy. Yay! I think I don't really have much to say about this. I think that the gender really messes with a lot of people. I think I was trying to guess, of course, beforehand, and sometimes I would be right and sometimes I would be wrong. Sometimes I would guess that it was a boy, sometimes I would guess that it's a girl. But I think I didn't try super hard to try to figure out exactly what it was, and I just kept my expectations low so that I wouldn't be disappointed either way. One thing you can do at nighttime, sometimes I just feel like I don't have time to do all the exercises, even I'm recommending. But nighttime is a great space because you're trying to fall asleep anyway. You can take the time to connect through baby through a meditation. So once you've kind of gone through the steps that I teach in that video, and you're sort of zoned out, you've calmed down, you've connected, then what you can do is feel the general awareness of your baby. And when you do this, you can just kind of feel where he or she is. Maybe you connect very physically where they are in your body, or maybe that awareness is kind of out in front of you or somewhere in the room. And then after you do that, you can connect with source, higher power, whatever you want to call it. And what you can do is go ahead and send love to your baby, and then go ahead and send love to source, universe, whatever you want to call it, God. And then you can sort of connect the two and send the same love from the universe to your baby, and sort of send this circle around, and you'll really feel it vibing very clairsentiently, maybe even. And then once you're in this space and you've kind of been sending this like love trifecta around, then you can ask a question. And so some of the questions you might ask are, hey baby, what do you need from me right now? Baby, can you show me yourself, or show me your personality? Remember to stick to just one question. If you're asking a ton of questions, it can be hard to sort of get all the answers. I think you can do it. You can ask multiple questions, but remember to take time to receive the answers. And don't be surprised if it takes a while, but just give it enough time to breathe and to receive that information, and just relax and be in that state and see what you get. And then when you're done with your meditation, you can stop and you can write it down, or you could just go to sleep, whatever you want to do. So I'm in my robe because it's about bedtime, so I thought I would talk a little bit about dreams. If you're already pregnant, you might have noticed how much more you dream. So I want to teach you guys one technique that you can use to incubate your dreams, and one technique that you can use to interpret those dreams. So for incubating, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is keep a pen and a paper beside your bed, and you decide to go to sleep with one intention or one question that you want to know or have answered in your dream. And so right before bed, just go ahead and write down at the top of your paper, I want to meet baby, or what do I need to know about baby, or anything like that. And then you release it and you say, all right, I'm going to dream about it. What happens, happens. So that's one way to incubate your dreams. And then when you wake up, obviously make sure to write down any sort of thing that you got. Write down any sort of themes that you get from your dreams. Maybe you have a reoccurring theme of being like at somebody's house, or maybe it's an object or a place or a person or something. So once you've written down sort of those themes or those symbols that you keep having reoccurringly in your dreams, ask yourself, okay, what do I think of when I think of this word? And don't think about it in relation to your dreams, but just think about it in relation to life. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that word? And next to each of these dream symbols, go ahead and write down what you interpret that symbol as being. And then what you might see is that you're frequently dreaming about maybe a certain stress, or maybe you're stressed out about money, or maybe these symbols have something to do with your fear of parenting. So I hope that these techniques help you guys connect a little bit more with baby in your dreams. It is officially my third trimester. Super excited to be in the home stretch. Not only is it the first week of my third trimester, but if you're watching this, hopefully many weeks from now, it is also the first week that the coronavirus, I would say, really started shutting down the US. And so I did a live video this last week about how to just stay calm during all of this, reminding people how to set their boundaries, reminding people, to get off social media, reminding people to take care of themselves and to really put your self-care routine at a high priority. I think if there's any lesson in this, it's knowing that throughout your pregnancy, there's going to be times when shit hits the fan. You can't pick up information from your guides. You can't pick up information from baby. You can't pick up any sort of intuitive information or hits when you are stressed out. So I think whenever you're going through any sort of panic mode, it's so important to remember to take care of yourself in all of these healthy ways. Again, meditation, mindfulness, whatever it is to you, shamanic journeying, having those tools in your tool belt when you go through modes of this in your pregnancy is just going to be helpful. And although it's the coronavirus for me, it could be something totally different for you. Oh yeah, quarantine hair. So I wanted to talk to you guys quickly about naming. And so I think that's one of the huge things you have to figure out during pregnancy. And that's something you can definitely get advice from your guides. So how we named, we've officially named Atlas, which is crazy to say. And so basically we turned every name that we found into a little card. And so the way we did it was we just kind of put it up on the fridge, and anytime one of us didn't like something, we would just take it down. But as soon as we started narrowing names down, Atlas popped up like nobody's business. And so I would say pay attention to signs from your guide. I literally passed by a sign on the highway that said Atlas, like real estate something. I passed by a car on a completely different day that was like Atlas moving something. I'm trying to think what else. I went to a networking event and someone told me they worked for Atlas Entertainment. And the name just kept coming up in conversations. The name kept like just appearing on TV. And so every time that happened, I would point it out to my husband and be like, that's a sign, that's a sign. So that might not exactly happen. You might not notice those signs as much, but try to stay open when you're doing the naming process, because your guides might be trying to favor one or be like, this is it, this is it. Obviously, you have free will. You can choose what you want at the end of the day, but I felt like Atlas was very divinely guided. And then what you can do to check if the name is a good match is you can pull out your tarot cards or sit and meditate and ask baby, hey, baby, what do you think about this name? And so I did that last night. I pulled a card on my phone app, and I got unconditional love. So I felt like that was good confirmation that he's going to like his name. So we've been quarantined for about a week now. My cousin had her baby yesterday. I'm having to move my baby shower virtual, which is not ideal, but I think because I'm aware that I can't control everything that's happening, and because I'm trying really hard to manage my stress and meditate, I was just like, all right, this is what's going to happen. So just remember that stuff like that is going to happen during pregnancy, and the best you can do is just sort of roll the punches and go with the flow. Still in quarantine, although you might not be able to tell because I'm wearing the same outfit, but this is the only sweatshirt that fits me anymore, so I wear it all the time. I promise it's clean. So I have my ice cream. Couldn't go without ice cream. And I wanted to just share one tip that I thought of, and that is to find a birthing guide. So whether you meditate or you do hypnosis or you want to do a shamanic journey, use that time to find a guide in that journey and sort of reach out and say, hey, introduce yourself. I want to have a guide to help me in the labor process. As I'm starting to do my hypnobirthing classes via online. That's been something that I feel intuitively guided to do. And of course, I reached out and I felt a guide come through for me. So definitely try either meditating, shamanic journeying, or doing hypnosis to find that birthing guide. So this morning I got Reiki from my good friend Lindsay at Bliss Findings. And it was just a crazy experience to get Reiki while pregnant, because you're not the only one receiving the Reiki. Your baby is also receiving the Reiki. So I highly recommend getting a Reiki session done. Feel free to check out Lindsay's website. She does distance Reiki. But even if you can't get Reiki done in person or remotely, you can do Reiki on yourself. I sort of talked about this in my exercise video where we played around with like the energy ball for clairsentience. And so it's the same basic concept. You know, we are flowing with energy. Energy is emitting from us. Energy is all around us. Sometimes that energy gets blocked. But naturally, our hands, our feet sort of exude this Reiki energy. So even though you might not be able to feel the Reiki energy, just knowing that it's there and that you can harness it and use it is sometimes just intention enough to have that Reiki flow and work. And so as I'm sometimes trying to connect with baby, sometimes I just put my hands on my belly and I just imagine white light coming through the top of my crown chakra, through my body, out through my hands, and to my baby. And so really you can just visualize just white light, bright energy coming through you, through your hands, and pushing it to your baby. As long as your intention is that it's high vibe, it's good, it's healing, then you might not be able to feel it, but you can still be sending that energy to baby. The last 2 months we've been quarantined at home, so not too many exciting things to film. But I am 1 month away from my due date, and I would say that the last 2 months I've mostly been focusing on just prepping our house and totally nesting. A lot of you are probably stressed out about going into labor and the whole birth process. I would say the biggest thing for me feeling calm has been to educate myself, taking all the classes that my birth center has offered. Even if you aren't at a birth center, you can take the hypnobirthing course. I would say that hypnobirthing is very woo-woo-esque, and if you like kind of the stuff that I do on this channel, you're probably gonna like hypnobirthing because it's very meditation focused and it's using breath work and meditation and hypnosis to basically deal with labor. And so I would highly recommend you look into that book, look into that course. Even if you're not going to be at a birth center, those techniques are giving me so much less anxiety. And so in this last month, my sole focus is just get everything I need to get ready and focus on my hypnobirthing exercises as much as I possibly can. I hope that this video was helpful. It was definitely a challenge for me to stick to a 9-month video and remember to record and remember to do things. So I apologize if it's sporadic. Hopefully I will do better next time. My only last piece of advice would probably be towards the end to give yourself a lot of time to relax. I probably finished my to-do list 2 weeks before my due date, and I was feeling really stressed out. So honestly, if you can even give yourself a month where you know everything is done, I think you would feel a lot better. I think also having one last date with your significant other would be a great way to sort of end this time together. So definitely try to squeeze that in if you can. And as you're waiting for labor, I think the best thing you can do is listen to hypnosis, listen to meditations. That is what is calming my fear the most. And I think that fear is there. It's inevitable. You can't do anything about it. So definitely doing everything that you can to listen to meditations. There's so many out there on YouTube for like childbirth, fear, meditation, release. I would specifically look up hypnobirthing stuff. And if you want to learn more about how I prep for birth and all of that, check out my next video. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful.